that recently impacted the motorsports community. The first is the tragic death of veteran stock car driver Robbie Brewer at Bowman Gray Stadium, following a medical emergency. The second is actually historic. Dominant victory of an 18-year-old sprint car driver named Ryan Timms at the Knoxville Nationals. This analysis reveals a profound juxtaposition, the conclusion of a life and a career deeply rooted in a local community against the spectacular beginning of a new prodigy's journey on a national stage. Brewer's legacy is defined by his decades of dedication, his role as a local legend, and the personal relationships he cultivated, which amplified the community's grief. His passing, attributed to a heart attack, also highlights a somber, recurring pattern of medical-related fatalities at Bowman Gray, raising important questions about driver health and safety. In stark contrast, Ryan Timms' victory is a story of strategic preparation and precocious talent. His win, achieved by leading every lap, was the culmination of a deliberate plan to master a single track. This performance not only broke historical records, but also earned him the respect of established racing veterans, signaling a potential shift in the sport's competitive landscape. Together, these stories illustrate the full spectrum of motorsports, a world of both tragic loss and exhilarating triumph, where the enduring spirit of racing is defined by a continuous cycle of tradition, dedication, and the emergence of new talent. Please join us for this soft opening and a moment of silence for Robbie Brewer. Thank you. The final laps at the Madhouse. On the night of August 9th, 2025, the tightly packed quarter mile, also known as Bowman Gray Stadium, witnessed a somber turn of events. Robbie Brewer, a 53-year-old veteran driver, was competing in the sportsman division in his well-known green number 68 car. Actually, that's not correct. I messed that up. My bad. But
Oh no.
that's all right. He was actually driving someone else's car this past weekend. I forgot all about that. But his normal number 68, a machine he had been piloting at the track for over 3.5 decades. With just 4 laps remaining in the 20-lap race, Brewer was running in 4th position when, without warning, he lost control of his vehicle. The car drifted into the outside wall between turns 3 and 4 before rebounding and striking another car and then striking the straightaway wall in a nearly head-on collision. The crash brought the race to a halt and immediately drew the attention of track workers, who were forced to use specialized equipment to remove the roof of the car and extract Brewer from the wreckage. Following his extraction, Brewer was transported by ambulance to the nearby Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, where he was later pronounced deceased. Initially, official statements from track personnel were circumspect, describing the event as an on-track medical incident. This phrasing is actually common in motorsports to avoid speculation and potential liability in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy. However, subsequent reporting provided a more specific cause, stating that reports that Brewer had a heart attack while inside the car that caused the crash. The critical distinction frames his death not as a fatality resulting from a racing incident itself, but rather as a non-racing related medical event that occurred while competing. Such a development shifts the conversation around safety from focusing solely on vehicle and track infrastructure to addressing the complex and sensitivity issue of pre-race medical screening and the potential health risks for drivers, particularly veterans, in the high-stress environment of short track racing. So, I don't know. I don't know if they need to do that or not. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, that I have noticed there's an awful lot of medical emergencies at Bowman Gray, and it seems to always be off turn four, which is a little concerning. I haven't really been paying much attention to them, but I have noticed that most of the accidents I have seen have come off turn four, and they've been a lot of medical emergencies, so it is a bit alarming.
Robbie Brewer's professional life was inextricably linked to Bowman Gray Stadium. His career, well, it spanned over 35 years, beginning with his first start in the Buzz Bomber division on June 2nd, 1990. He became a fixture at the venue, accumulating a total of 311 career starts across the sportsman, tour-type modified, and stadium stock divisions. His accomplishments were not merely a testament to his longevity, but also to his skill and passion. He was an 11-time winner in the sportsman division and earned the prestigious Sportsman's Points Championship in 2011. Beyond the confines of the Winston-Salem quarter mile, Brewer's talent shone brightly. He was a successful racer in the regional 602 modified competition, where he secured double-digit victories and won two 602 modified tour championships, one in 2018 and one in 2019. During this 2-year span, he was particularly dominant, winning an impressive 12 out of 21 races. In addition, he was a champion in late models, winning the 2016 602 Limited Series title. Brewer's career was more than just a list of statistics. It was a deeply embedded and staple in the local community. He was a close friend and employee of his car owner, Brad Robbins, and was part of the tight-knit Robbins and Lewis racing family, which is who he was driving for when this incident happened. This strong personal and professional connection to the community solidified his status not just as a driver, but also as a local legend whose life was woven into the fabric of the sport that he loved. The reaction to Brewer's death revealed the depth of his impact on the racing community. The official statement from Bowman Gray Stadium described him as a talented and passionate racer and highly respected competitor among his peers. The outpouring of grief on social media and in the news reports actually painted him a more personal picture. He was a widely regarded guy and was actually regarded as the nicest guy at the track, a sentiment that came down from both fellow drivers and fans. Tributes from his peers were particularly poignant, and fellow racer Brad Lewis, a close friend and part of the Brewers racing family, actually shared that he had given Brewer his last fist bump and called him a big brother and a true man's man. Another driver, Austin Taylor, who had watched Brewer race since he was a teenager, called him a fierce competitor who he always looked up to. The sense of loss was magnified by personal details that emerged after his passing. Brewer was engaged to be married to his fiancée, Angel McCarter, on August 25th, just weeks away. In an emotional social media post, McCarter wrote of being lost without her best friend, a testament to the personal bonds that defined his life. His daughter also posted a moving tribute, stating that while he left this world doing what he loved, the timing was way too soon. The sheer volume and emotional weight of these tributes underscored the unique, familial nature of short track racing. Brewer's legacy was built as much on his kindness and character and personal relationships as it was on his on-track achievements, making his loss deeply felt and a big wound for the entire community. Oh man, I can't imagine what they're going through. Brewer's
Before
death.
we, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, before we move on, I wanted to give a little bit of input on that also. There was a video I saw floating around. I think it was on his page of his unique way of breaking in brand new tires. I personally did not know of him until this moment, but I will say that was one of the more unique ways of breaking in new tires. He essentially would drift the entire way around Bowman Gray, which I thought was super, super cool. Very unique, I will say. But it just shows to the level of, you know, car car skill he had, driving skills he had. But there's also, I saw there was somebody gave a testimony of they were battling in a twin feature, and there was a heated argument, and the one car needed repaired in between the first feature and the second feature. And Brewer came up and asked if he was racing for points, and when they weren't sure if he was going to be able to get back out, Brewer had offered his car so that way they could collect points. In the end, they ended up just being a start and park, but it definitely changed that driver's perspective of, you know, how they raced Brewer and, you know, the level of competitiveness, but still being able to willing to give the shirt off your back to help them. So I just wanted to give that, you know, that part of information. Definitely a little cool, you know, tidbit from previous drivers. I personally didn't know them, but it definitely is, you know, cool to hear the testimonies of stuff like that.
Indeed it is. Well, Brewer's death adds a new chapter to the tragic history of Bowman Gray Stadium. The facility, with its demanding short track format, actually has been the site of several past fatalities. A review of the historical record actually reveals a pattern that is particularly relevant to Brewer's case. In 1950, driver William Justice was fatally burned in a crash, an event that led the track to mandate the use of fuel cells for enhanced safety. However, two other documented deaths at the track bear a striking and tragic similarity to Brewer's. In 1958, driver Billy Myers collapsed during a race and was later pronounced dead from a heart attack, an incident that was not attributed to the crash itself. More recently, in 2002, 66-year-old garage owner named Bubba Beck also died from a heart attack during a race after his car made contact with a guardrail. The recurrence of deaths attributed to sudden medical events rather than a crash-related injury at this specific venue creates a powerful, tragic link. While racing is inherently dangerous, the fact that 3 of the 4 confirmed fatalities cited in these historical accounts were actually linked to heart attacks raises a serious question about the physiological demands of racing at the madhouse. It suggests a potential yet unproven link between the unique stresses of competing at the track and the health of its drivers. This pattern serves as a sobering reminder and may prompt a renewed discussion on the need for enhanced and potentially more frequent medical screening for veteran racers in short track series. So, it's something to think about, but we can't change what's happened. And from all of us here at Switch and Grooves, Nathan, myself, and the entire team here, we give our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to the family. He was actually a really cool guy. I spoke to a couple people that knew him, but he would do exactly what Nathan said earlier, just give the shirt off his back or whatever he had to do to help somebody. So we need more people like that in motorsports, and it stinks when we lose one, but you know,
yes,
we know he's going to be there and in spirit, and we have to move on. So moving over to the Knoxville Nationals, well, that was pretty interesting. Just total domination from start to finish. I mean, while the short track community in North Carolina actually mourned, though, a new chapter in motorsports history was being written nearly 1,000 miles away at the Knoxville Raceway in Iowa. 18-year-old sprint car driver Ryan Timms hailing from Oklahoma City, delivered a performance for the ages at the 64th Annual Knoxville Nationals. Driving for owner Shane Liebig, Timms actually commanded the race from the start to the finish and led all 50 laps on his way to a historic victory and a staggering $195,000 payday. Could you imagine that at 18? Tim's win actually cemented his place in the record books. At just 18 years and 11 months old, he became the second youngest winner in the history of the event, trailing only the legendary Kenny Weld, who won it at 18 years and 9 months in 1964. Timms also became only the second driver to win the Knoxville Nationals in his first ever A-Main start, a feat also accomplished by Weld. Despite multiple cautions and a mandatory halfway break, Timms never relinquished the lead. He built a commanding 4.3 second lead by the halfway point and went on to win by a margin of nearly 3 seconds over second place finisher Rico Abreu. The ability to regain momentum and pull away from a highly competitive field on multiple restarts is a testament not to just his car's speed, but to a level of mental fortitude and poise that veterans like David Gravel explicitly praised. Tim's victory was not actually a fluke. It was the direct result of a deliberate, well-executed strategy by his team. Following early season struggles and a failure to qualify for the main event in the first 2 attempts, Tim and his car owner Shane Liebig made a very pivotal decision. I can't believe that they did this, but they chose to commit to racing weekly at Knoxville Raceway to actually accumulate as much track time as possible with the express goal of being the best car for the Nationals. This targeted approach actually paid off, and Timms went on to win 6 features at the track just this year, becoming a formidable Knoxville regular. A key component of his success was the unique mentorship provided by Liebig. A former racer at Knoxville himself, he served as a driver coach, offering specific feedback on Tim's technique, such as correcting what they called the California twitch that could slow him down in corners. Timms actually credited his coaching style, stating, the way Shane goes about it just suits me well. This symbolic relationship between driver and mentor transformed the team's trajectory. Tim's victory is therefore a compelling example of how a focused, data-driven, and highly localized strategy can be more effective than a traditional national touring approach, demonstrating the mastery of a single premier venue can actually lead to the sport's biggest prize. He had an awesome run, and I wish you could have seen it, man. The impact of Tim's win actually extended far beyond the record books, resonating with his fellow competitors. The post-race reactions from veteran drivers provided validation of his achievement. David Gravel, the 2019 Nationals champion, and this year's hard charger, who actually finished 3rd from the 21st spot, was effusive in his praise. Gravel noted that Timms could have easily choked under the pressure, but he didn't, which he considered a sign of poise beyond his years. He went on to acknowledge that Tim's performance was not easy to accomplish and demonstrated the superior package his team had developed. Similarly, Carson Macedo actually finished 4th, conceded that Timms was almost a straightaway ahead of him within just a few laps every restart. Rico Abreu, the second-place finisher, was equally complimentary. He called Tim's performance pretty damn impressive and spoke of the belief he could see in the Liebig team's eyes. Logan Schuchart, who finished 5th, also praised the team, stating that nobody was catching them and that Tim's car just rips on half-mile tracks. The collective recognition from these top-tier drivers validates Tim's performance, not as a fortunate outcome, but as a true display of skill and strategic excellence. Their praise, particularly the acknowledgement of his poise and speed, signifies a potential change of the guard in sprint car racing, where a new generation of talent has officially arrived on the scene. And it sure has. Just look at these guys coming up. Tim's victory carried a unique historical significance beyond his age and first-time win. He became the first Knoxville regular, a driver competing consistently in each of the weekly races. But he became the first Knoxville regular to actually win the Knoxville Nationals since Doug Wolfgang actually did it in 1978. This fact represents a potential shift in the competitive dynamics of the event, and for decades, the Nationals has been a major showcase for drivers from National Touring Series. Tim's success, built on a methodical plan to master the Knoxville Raceway, actually demonstrates that a dedicated local approach can, under the right circumstances, outperform the established model of national competition. Now, his name actually now appears in the record books along with legends like Kenny Weld, Steve Kinzer, Donnie Schatz, Kyle Larson, and the list goes on. He's the 28th different driver to win the event, and this win validates a new path to the pinnacle of the sport and may inspire future teams to adopt a similar strategy in the pursuit of sprint car racing's most coveted prize. So, I just keep on going, I guess. The stories of Robbie Brewer and Ryan Timms, while unfolding concurrently, represent two opposite ends of motorsports spectrum. Brewer's narrative is one of longevity, a testament to a life dedicated to a single community and a passion that endured for over 3.5 decades. His legacy is measured not just in championships and victories, but in the respect and bonds that he actually forged in the short track world at Bowman Gray. His death is a tragic conclusion, a quiet end to a career that was actually part of the track's very foundation. Conversely, Tim's story is a brilliant beginning, a sudden and powerful ascent to the sport's highest echelon. His narrative is defined by record-breaking performance, strategic innovation, and the validation of a new generation. He represents the future, a prodigy with the mental toughness and a team with the calculated approach to dominate a major event on his very first attempt. Despite their vastly different paths, both men were united by an unwavering passion for racing, demonstrating the sport's ability to captivate and define lives at every stage. The simultaneous conclusion of a veteran's career and the coronation of a young champion encapsulates the enduring cyclical nature of motorsports. The tragic loss of Robbie Brewer is a reminder of the sport's inherent dangers and the human cost of pursuing a passion. His death just weeks before his wedding highlights the fragility of life and the deep personal connections that define the racing community. At the same time, the exhilarating triumph of Ryan Timms offers a glimpse into the future, a signal of new talent and evolving strategies that will continue to push the boundaries of the sport. This constant rhythm of loss and renewal, offering tradition and innovation, is the very spirit that defines motorsports and ensures its legacy will continue for generations to come. And that's going to do it for this part. Now we can switch grooves right on over to Nathan.
All righty. Well, I definitely need to start this segment with a shout out. Custom Racing Lubricants, the official partner of 24N Racing and 24A Racing Edits. I also need to give a shout out to Dietz Fabrication, along with Robson Cart Treatments and Aaron Eastler Designs. They have stepped up and they've been helping provide different elements to make this announcement. I will be making my Winged Champ Kart debut in 2 weeks in New York at CHD night. I'll be giving updates soon once the event has happened and once we get a little closer. But I want to give a shout out to Custom Racing Lubricants, Yellow Jackets, Dietz Fabrication, Robinson Cart Treatments, and Aaron Eastler's Designs for their help and their purpose to help us with this thing. I can't talk now. I had this all written up, now I can't talk. But thank you guys for helping pursue this dream and be able to have a winged champ cart finally put together. It looks amazing. I'll release photos later on. But yes, we're
Yeah,
the
it looks pretty
official
cool.
partner of Winged of Custom Racing Lubricants. So I had to show off my fancy hat and obviously get a hold of Chuck to get your lubricants that you need and all the stuff you need to go fast.
And
But
Chuck is watching it.
yes, Chuck is
So,
watching. I made sure I had him tune in tonight so we could hear his shout out. But
hey,
yeah,
if you ever want to sponsor the show, I'm just throwing it out there. Let us know.
I mean, we're more than willing to have him on because I know he's opinionated about this stuff. So I'm sure he'll
hey,
join sometime.
he actually gave me some great compliments about the show while I was at your wedding, so that was pretty cool.
Well,
Appreciate that.
I'm honored that he thinks so highly of the show. Now we need to get him on here because I know that we'll never get an episode done if we have him on because he's really, really good at that stuff. And he's knowledgeable too. But I need to get back on track.
Yep, let's
We're
keep going.
Watkins Glen recap. We're going to start with the ARCA race. There wasn't really a whole lot that was notable in there. 15-year-old Tristan McKee made his first start for Spire Motorsports, and just like SVG, wanted his debut. So congrats to Tristan McKee. Only 15 years old, mind you. I mean, I think he was 15 by, I think it was 6 or 9 days. So it's definitely he's not the youngest. Todd Gilliland was the youngest, I think, by 4 days, I think it was. But still a very impressive feat to win just days after your 15th birthday. So, again, congratulations, Tristan McKee. Onto the truck series, for lack of better terms. And before we get too far, a disclaimer: these are only our opinions. This does not represent anybody else. This is just merely our opinions. With that being said, the Truck Series race, in my opinion, was an absolute shit show. They went through 3 overtime restarts and could not get through the bus stop. Just absolute disaster of a race for that. And unfortunately, it did not get a whole lot better with the Xfinity race. Now, I have media that goes with this. Um,
Sorry
I
about
have
that.
spoken very, very, very uh, boldly against Austin Hill and what I think should happen to him. Some people on here know my opinions. So, with that being said, I am going to play this media for you. This is regarding the um, pre-race interview when it comes to Austin Hill. Um, Austin Hill is essentially doing Austin Hill things again. To summarize this up, I'm going to play this clip for you guys, and I just want you to listen to the kind of stuff that has to come with this. Austin Hill is essentially doing Austin Hill things. Where's that? I'm going to play. There it goes. Helps if I turn off the broadcast in the background. All right. This is the pre-race interview for Austin Hill at Watkins Glen.
Hill, back after last week's suspension, are you more cautious with how you race other drivers after the penalty, especially at a track where the racing can get physical?
I'll probably get backlash for it, but absolutely not. I'm going to still race the way that I always do. I'm a hard-nosed racer. Anyone that saw the piece that went out last night, they can go on and the NASCAR app and read it. But basically, it was fully unintentional. It's easy me saying that right now, right, with it being 2 weeks out. But I'm an extremely honest person. Just to put it in perspective with the whole Cole Custer thing that happened last year at Charlotte, the main reason I got that penalty is I told Wayne Alton exactly what happened. Told him that I would take any penalty that came on my way and hold it on my shoulders because I knew that I was in the wrong in that instance. But this instance was just a total different deal. So, I hate it for all of our guys, everyone on the 21 team for this having to go through this, losing the 21 bonus points. Our entire, sponsors, partners, everyone involved. Really, the only thing that I wish I could take back, but you can't take back, is the things I said on the radio. Other than that, yeah, the things that happened on the racetrack was fully unintentional. It was a racing incident. But the good thing about it today, we have a really fast vintage Chevrolet, as fast as Xfinity Mobile, and we're going to go out there and show everybody how it's done.
Yeah. I just want you guys to keep that in perspective when it comes to this next segment of the update. So we have Austin Hill doing Austin Hill things. He was suspended for a week from Iowa after essentially trying to murder Eric Almirola. Another right hook shenanigans. He has a history of, for lack of better terms, aggressive driving, we'll call it, but it's a little more than that at this point. So, we all know his history. It's been well documented. So, lap 65, Connor Zilich and SVG and Austin Hill are all battling for the win. Miraculously, Austin Hill is not involved in this part of it. But it is the start of a chain of events that I deem Austin Hill should be very much investigated, if not through NASCAR, through RCR. He has no bonus points for the playoffs. He has 0 points. He's already starting dead last. I think NASCAR needs to look into possible, playoff revoke, be done with it. But Austin Hill, didn't get involved. Connor Zilich ran a little wide, overran turn 6, ended up taking out SVG in turn 7. Pretty hard impact for SVG. He was deemed okay after the crash. But on the ensuing restart, Connor Zilich clears Austin Hill, and Austin Hill essentially just sends him off into turn 1. I mean, he cleared him, clear as day, and then just absolutely launches Connor off of turn 1, which you kind of expect at this point. I mean, it's Austin Hill doing Hill things, but you would think after the incidents of 2 weeks ago, you think a little harder before you do something stupid like that. But there ends up being a yellow for debris, and on the ensuing caution, Connor Zilich actually comes up and runs into Austin Hill under caution, which honestly I think NASCAR let go. I'm shocked there wasn't a penalty on that, but on the ensuing restart, McDowell and Austin Hill are on the front row. They both end up going wide, and Connor Zilich ends up, taking the lead before they even got to the bus stop. Actually passed them both 3 wide through the S's, which is rather impressive. But coming through the carousel and onto turn 5, Austin Hill goes wide on turn 5, ends up almost hitting the outside wall near the boot, and realizes the wall is coming up and just turns hard right. Just completely back onto the track like there's nobody there. Ends up hooking Michael McDowell into an absolutely vicious crash. I mean, Michael McDowell has had horrible crashes there before. It's reminiscent of the Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, and Casey Kane crash. And I think Allmendinger was involved in that one. It's, there's been massive crashes over on that straightaway between turn 5 and turn 6. It was just a lack of awareness. He knew the wall was coming up based on where he was. He was so far wide, there was no way he was going to be able to make the pass with the hole that was there, and just proceeded to turn right. Now, thankfully for him, he didn't wear white gloves this week. He wore black gloves. I can only imagine why. But definitely a lack in responsibility for the crash. Just complete and utter disgust out of me for Austin Hill. I think there needs to be way more investigating done, because he's a menace at this point. He's going to end up injuring somebody. Michael McDowell actually said it's the hardest hit he's had in a very long time, and he's had some pretty massive hits over the years. For instance, Texas in like 2008. This man has hit a lot, and that's one of the hardest hits he's taken. That's a scary thought. But Austin Hill ended up, I think, finishing 5th after all that. So definitely definitely a very bizarre and frustrating moment. But if it couldn't get any more bizarre than that, uh, Connor Zilic ends up winning the race, and in victory lane ends up falling off the car awkwardly, and ends up, based on the CW's broadcast, basically lying there motionless. There were a lot of people that thought he got knocked out cold. He actually was taken out of victory lane by the medical personnel and to a local hospital where they diagnosed him with a broken collarbone. So a very, very, very scary moment for Connor Zilic, who I believe is 5 wins in his rookie year in the Xfinity Series, which is insane. I actually think it's 6 now. But it's just insane that, all this happened in one race. I mean, it's amazing how chaotic that race was.
I think that was a first for Victory Lane.
I can't say that because I know that Cole Custer fell off the car. He didn't break his collarbone, but he fell off the car. I do remember that one. I think he did the double beer chug, but I don't think I've ever seen somebody fall off the car and knock themselves out. So yeah, that part's a new one, but definitely a just bizarre and wacky race to the Xfinity Series. And I think the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series absorbed all the excitement for the Cup race because, and I'll be really honest, yes, SVG dominated the race, but that was the biggest snooze fest I have ever watched as an Xfinity race. You knew SVG was going to win. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take to get to that point. And I believe the race broadcast only lasted 2 hours and 50 minutes. So the fact that, a Cup Series race that only lasted, I think, 90 laps was over in 2 hours and 50 minutes is absolutely mind-boggling. Because, I mean, he at the end of the race, when he crossed the finish line, he was doing burnouts before Christopher Bell even got to the start-finish line. So to put this in perspective, he had an 11-second lead at the end of the race. He was able to be doing burnouts before Christopher Bell even came off turn 7 to come to the start-finish line for the finishing of the race. That is an absolute just ass-whooping. I mean, he dominated that race. It was a battle for second. Was the biggest battle of the entire day. There was absolutely no passing throughout the entire day. Shout out to Eric Estep for this one. There was I didn't even catch it at first. There was very, very, very minimal movement throughout the field. Like usually there's cars that, go 5 or 6 positions gaining on track runs. On a few of the different restarts, there was maybe up 1 or down 1, or, I think at the very beginning there was like up 3 or 4 because Kyle Larson had brake issues. Very, very, very minimal position movement. It was an absolute, snooze fest. And I hate saying that NASCAR only makes left turns, even though it's not true on road courses. But even for a road course race, this might have been the biggest, joke of a race ever. It was so bad. And I hate saying that because I support NASCAR, at least in some of their decisions, not all of them, obviously. But definitely the Gen 7 car needs to be looked at because these races are now getting really boring. Even the big fans like me are starting to wonder, is this going to be more of a nap time on Saturdays and Sundays than, actual watching a site? Because they're really not exciting anymore, and that's a sad thought.
One thing I did see is that they did announce that they are not going to be increasing horsepower yet.
Yeah.
I mean, this year, which I wouldn't expect them to increase.
And they said it's only going to be on short tracks, I think, next year. Which, great, I guess.
Pointless, but great.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But back to SVG, he breaks the rookie record with 4 wins and sits number 2 in the playoffs. Which, honestly, with only, 3 races before the playoffs, I think is what it is. They got Richmond, they got Daytona, and then we're on to the playoffs at Darlington. I can't see SVG winning Richmond. I mean, if he wins Richmond, somebody better have a horseshoe somewhere, because and there ain't no way that anybody else is winning if he's figured out ovals, which he did get his first oval win on the Legends race in Charlotte, which is starting to be concerning for the rest of the field, because at least he figured one racetrack out. But I can't see him winning at Richmond. Can't see him winning at Daytona. But he's high enough in the playoffs at this point. He's got, I think, 42 playoff points. At this point, he could essentially, run consistently through the first, 3 races. And the moment we get to the round of 12, he's almost guaranteed to move in. Like, there's people who are counting him as a round of 8 contender as it is. If he can manage to get through the round of 12 without any DNFs, run consistently, just stay ahead of, 4 other drivers. 4 drivers have an issue, and SVG just keeps plugging away. We could be in real trouble of having a road course ringer make it to the round of 8, which could be an absolute playoff disruptor, because if SVG makes it to the round of 8, somebody's not getting, drivers into the round of 8 that could have a shot at dominate. If Hendrick has all 4 drivers in at the round of 12, they have to be the top 4 seeds to be safe when it comes to the round of 8, because it's not looking good. And there's a lot of playoff drivers who are going to be making a deep playoff run. I mean, hopefully William Byron, hopefully Christopher Bell, hopefully Kyle Larson. There's going to be a lot of drivers who could make it to the round of 8. SVG is looking like he's going to be one of them if he can make it through the round of 16. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but we're in for an absolute barn burner when it comes to the round of 12 if he can make it that far. And if not, somebody's going to have to be fighting for second at the Roval, because we know who's going to go for that one. I mean, he's the only race he has not won this year is COTA. All he has to do is win at the Roval, and he has won every track except for COTA this year, which I don't think he ran very good at the Roval, but you never know. It's only his second time at the track, I think. So hopefully, we get some excitement for the playoffs, because right now, the season stinks.
I just hope Richmond isn't boring, since we're going to be there.
That's what, and I had this conversation with Ashley this week, my wife. I'm very thankful for the tickets. She managed to scoop them up. At the same time, I don't know how I feel about Richmond. It's had a history of not producing very good racing. I mean, I think the biggest excitement we had was last year when Austin Hill decided he was just going to, or not Austin Hill, Austin Dillon decided he's just going to bulldoze his way to the front. I mean, he ran up front and then just complete lapse in judgment, which I'm starting to wonder if it's just the Austin name associated with RCR, but maybe it's just me. But fortunately, Xfinity Series is off at Richmond this week. It's just a truck series, so thankfully we won't have any chaos there, because trust me, if he was there, I'd probably have a sign. But that's a song for another time. Yeah, I'm hoping for a good race, but then I also realize that without the excitement of last year, the next gen car just is miserable on short tracks. There really is nothing to write home about. I'm very, very worried. I've never been to a next gen race at Richmond or in general or at Bristol. It was the old Gen 6 car that I was there for. I'm really hoping, and I know that you've been there for the next gen car, I'm hoping to not be an absolute, disaster.
Not impressed.
But I'm not sure how I'm excited. Weren't you there for the tire disaster, or was that a different race?
No, I was at Bristol for the tire disaster.
So, I mean, I know the tires have gotten better since that race. It was interesting. I'm not quite sure. If I remember correctly, they're supposed to be using the different compounds for this race. I don't know if they're still going to. I've heard rumors of it. I mean, when they ran that at North Wilkesboro earlier this year, I feel like they got better at it. It was definitely an improvement, I'll tell you. But I'm not sure exactly what to expect when it comes to Richmond. I'm hoping that if they use the tires that they did North Wilkesboro at Richmond, that the racing craft actually gets better and it's not as boring. But then again, it's Richmond. I've always been a big supporter of Richmond. Just getting one race a year and being done with it, because Richmond really isn't that good. We have 2 tracks in Virginia. Just run Martinsville twice and don't run Richmond twice. Give somebody else the date, because Richmond is probably the lacking of the tracks in Virginia. Even if they ran, I hate saying it, but even if they ran the road course at Richmond, it's better than running Richmond twice, because it really isn't. It's not that great. And I'm sorry to say it. I hate saying it about tracks, but to give them a road course. But then again, if any track needs to lose a date, it's probably Richmond, because it's not that great. Honestly, there's a lot of tracks with the next gen car that just were great and now they just suck. But I've never been a big fan of Richmond. I'm glad to get tickets, especially as close as we're sitting, I think. But maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they won't, most likely. But I don't know. I know I'm going to try to do an episode once we get to the hotel, hopefully, just to check in. But I don't know exactly when I'll get an episode in. We might have to do one Sunday morning before we check out. I know that I'll be in Richmond Friday night, so if there's any SG fans in the area, don't be afraid to reach out to Switching Groove. Send us a message, and I'll make sure I try to reach out and connect with you guys. I know Russ will be in a little later.
Blow up Nathan's inbox, his personal inbox, if you're gonna send a message Friday night, because I'm gonna be driving all night long.
Well, yeah, don't be driving Saturday. Don't be messaging Saturday. We'll get there Friday. He'll be driving all day Saturday. But if there's any SG fans going to Richmond, you can reach out to my personal inbox. You can message us on Friday. I'll be getting them throughout the day driving Friday. Just don't blow us up Saturday morning, because Russ will be driving straight through. He'll be sleeping probably.
I'm leaving Thursday night, buddy.
I thought you worked Friday.
Either way, or Friday night, not Thursday night. My bad.
And say we're leaving Friday morning. You'll be there Saturday.
I'm gonna drive through the night on Friday night.
But yeah, reach out to us in my personal inbox if you guys want to connect. I have 3 more things before I wrap my segment up. Spire Motorsports has dropped Andres Perez. They're adding Corey LaJoy to their truck program. They had Corey LaJoy, I believe, to drive the 07, I believe it is. Or not the 07, I think it's a 77 truck. But Perez has now been picked up by Nice Motorsports. He'll be driving the 44 the rest of the season. Well, Caden Honeycutt is making his debut in the 52 truck for Stuart Friesen, which I don't know if we did an update yet, but Stuart Friesen is at home, recovering with family. There was a nice video of his son and his wife greeting him when they got home. So it was definitely good to see he's home. We wish him the best and a speedy recovery. But those are the updates for the different drivers. Christopher Bell basically bounced around the truck race along with Chastain. So I feel bad for Christopher Bell and the 52 truck. But, yeah, that truck race was just a disaster. Just not good racing. Lack of professionalism throughout the truck and the Xfinity race, unfortunately. That's all I had for my NASCAR part.
You all good on that? Yeah, I forgot to mention, though, Spencer Basin actually parted ways with his team, too. So he's out of that car.
I feel like I did know that. I feel like I did see that somewhere.
But I was more focused on getting the Nationals recapped and a little tribute to Robbie So
I do need to give one more shout out. Oh, make sure my thing is muted. I do need to give one more shout out. I gave a shout out to Dietz Fabrication and Tyler Dietz. I do need to give one more shout out to Jake Dietz. Won the race at Lernerville on Friday. We were in attendance for that, but then managed to score his first career win in the Pro Stocks at Sharon. So, and it seemed like it was in pretty dominant fashion for what I'm seeing. Lost lead on lap 3 and took it back by lap 9, and that crew has definitely gotten better. I know it's not, big name late models, but local racer, I'm affiliated with, so I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out before I forgot.
well, we're going to wrap it up. So
That works.
that's going to wrap it up for this episode. But remember, whether you live for those sideways, mudslinging dirt track sliders or the rubber throwing, paint treating speed of NASCAR, you belong right here. Hit that subscribe button below so you never, ever miss a lap. Until next time,
I'm Nathan Johns.
and I'm Russ Fritz saying keep switching grooves and race hard,
Stay safe.
and we'll see you there. Good night.
Good night, everybody.